Erick Erickson is here, perhaps the smartest Republican commentator in the country. Host of the Erick Erickson Show, publishes a must-read Substack newsletter I'd encourage you to sign up for. Didn't the party elders and the entire GOP establishment and 16 other Republican candidates try to banish Donald Trump back in 2016?
They sure did. He captivated the hearts and minds of Republican voters. I'm not sure he's doing that at this point, but he certainly did then. And piling on him from that wing of the party really only emboldens him. The people who are attacking Trump from the left side of the party do nothing but give him strength. If they shut up and ignored him, he would start to fade away.
It's interesting you say you're not sure whether they support him or not. Polling Trump versus DeSantis, potential Republican primary voters, if held today, Donald Trump 48, Ron DeSantis 26. There is nothing that Donald Trump loves in his life more than a poll like this.
Yeah, that's right. But then you take it state by state and break it out. So he wouldn't be winning Georgia. DeSantis would win it. He would win. DeSantis would win Florida. Depending on the order of the states in which they go, that hurts Trump because as you go around to those states and DeSantis's momentum built, it would be a problem for Trump. Now, also the donor class. The reason he's jumping out right now is because Ken Griffin of Citadel, a hedge fund, decided to go with Ron DeSantis, and Trump's trying to stop all the other donors from headed that way as well. He doesn't want to spend his money. He wants to spend everybody else's money.
Yeah, Ken Griffin also spent about $50 million in the Illinois governor's race. He couldn't even get the guy out of the primary.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Ken Griffin has a lot of money he can throw around, but he's one of many. A lot of the major donors had sat on the sidelines wanting to see what happened. Really, it's the small dollar donors because they're the voters. And if DeSantis can get them or someone else can get them, that hurts Trump. That he's jumping right now, though, before the Georgia runoff is something that's probably, if Walker loses, and frankly, the odds, I don't know that they're in his favor, that's something else they pin on Trump. As NBC had a poll, and actually we now know NBC's poll was pretty spot on given what happened. 30% of Republicans say they're Trump voters. The rest say they're Republican voters. That sort of stuff matters as we've gone on further away.
Right, but if 30% of Republican voters are Trump voters, and you've got 10 other Republican candidates in the primary, those 30% stay with him, and the other 70% are split up among the 10. Neither you or I are mathematicians, but that means Trump wins the primary.
Oh, Lord, I went to law school to avoid math, but I can tell you if you do have 10 candidates in that race, yeah, Donald Trump wins. These people are going to have to swallow their ego and decide, do we want to win or do we want to run for president?
I got two questions each for about 30 seconds. One is the argument we have in our office. Our executive producer seems to think that if the Republican establishment just tried hard enough, if the Politburo just banished Donald Trump, they could do it. Is it really up to them?
No, it's not. It really is up to the voters. Trump, though, thrives on attention. You stop giving him attention, he actually starts to fade. Voters move on to other things.
Right, but he can't not get attention. And the media loves to give him attention. There's nothing more than CNN and NBC and Morning Joe love than a good Donald Trump story.
Oh, absolutely, because it helps the Democrats, which is why they all give him attention. I find it funny on Twitter now. Everyone tells me what Donald Trump is putting up on other social media sites as opposed to just ignoring him.
So, again, why is that? Is Trump the drug that nobody can quit, but Republicans realize could be their demise?
Yes. I mean, the media, to the extent there's a liberal bias, the more they play up Donald Trump, as we've seen in this election cycle, the more it helps the Democrats. So they give him maximum exposure. Can't really blame him. I would do it if I were a Democrat.
Well, and it is at least working because of the statements he is putting out now. Scorched earth policy. It's almost like we're seeing exactly 2015 replay all over again. Erick, it's always good to see you, and our thoughts were with you and your wife over the past couple of days. We're glad to hear she's well.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.